Kathy hit the nail on the head with her statement and then added, "If it were up to me, I'd hand the company over to the most capable child to ensure it thrives. So, I don't think what Grandma and Grandpa did back then was wrong. On the contrary, I think Dad needs to adjust his mindset. The business belongs to the whole family, it shouldn't matter who inherits it. If Dad was discontent, he should have talked it out with them instead of harboring so much resentment." "You're a good kid." Shirley patted her head, a lump forming in her throat, surprised that even a child could be more understanding than some adults. "I share Kathy's view," Jeffrey added. "It was, indeed, their parents' fault." "I agree with Kathy too," Luna declared. Shirley felt even more emotional and reached out to hug Jeffrey and Luna. "You are all such good children." "You can't even measure up to these 3 kids," Philip scolded. Tomas and Donna hung their heads in shame. Back then, Donna had believed that if Jennifer perished in the fire, her husband would finally let go and focus on their little family. But she hadn't realized that even if Jennifer were gone, there would always be a place in Tomas' heart that no one else could fill, a place reserved solely for Jennifer. After the clinic explosion years ago, Tomas' company had grown rapidly. As a member of the Macmillan family, he gained access to high society and continued to forge influential connections, strengthening his position. Behind the scenes, he secretly built his own power base and collaborated with like-minded individuals and organizations, including Doom. On the surface, he appeared calm and content as the head of the household, but in reality, his influence had expanded wildly, growing from a sapling into a towering tree. At that moment, Shirley, with tears in her eyes, turned to Donna. "Tomas didn't fulfill his responsibilities and obligations as a husband. He is indeed wrong. As his mother, I failed to raise him properly, and as your mother-in-law, I didn't notice your distress in time, allowing you to endure such hardship. For that, I owe you an apology." Shirley suddenly bowed deeply to Donna in a serious gesture of remorse, which made Donna feel even more guilt. "Mom," Donna quickly moved to support her, "it's not your fault." Over the years, Shirley had always been kind to her. Not just Shirley, Philip had cherished her as though she were his own daughter. The reason Donna never held a grudge over the uneven distribution of the family's assets was precisely because of their kindness toward her. Shirley looked at Donna with a mix of heartache and regret. "If I had known you were suffering so much back then, I would have supported a divorce even more." Donna was astounded, never expecting her mother-in-law to say such words. "After the divorce, you'll still be my daughter-in-law in my heart. I will still treat you as my own family. I support you in chasing your own happiness. In fact, I truly hope you do well." When Shirley learned how much Donna had given all these years without receiving anything in return from her son, she, as a woman herself, could genuinely empathize with the pain her daughter-in-law had endured. "But you've hated the wrong person, honey," Shirley said with tears in her eyes. From beginning to end, Jennifer never had the slightest idea how much Tomas adored her, let alone the fact that the brothers had fought over her. She was completely in the dark about the suffering you endured. The one you ought to hate is him. With that, she turned her gaze toward her eldest son. "After being heartbroken again and again, what you should do is leave him, cut your losses, instead of wasting your time and misdirecting your anger toward Jennifer. You are wrong in this. Is Jennifer not innocent? She has been hated by you for no reason and hurt for so many years." Hearing Shirley's words, Donna's tears fell. After that fateful explosion at the clinic, Tomas had indeed done many things to hurt and hinder his younger brother. And Donna hadn't been idle either. She had secretly fired arrows in the dark at Jennifer. But George and Jennifer had always trusted them and never suspected a thing. "The worst thing is, because of love, hate, and the family business, you've dragged so many innocent people into this mess," Shirley said, closing her eyes in despair as tears trailed down her cheeks. "Mom," Donna began, wanting to say something. Suddenly, a cup of coffee was splashed into Tomas' face. Jennifer, holding the cup, glared at him furiously. "You actually tried to kill George." She slapped Tomas hard, the force leaving a vivid red imprint on his cheek. "Jennifer," Tomas was stunned, never expecting her to hit him. "Don't call me like that, I find it disgusting," Jennifer spat, her eyes full of disgust and anger. "Even if something had happened to George back then, I would never have fallen for you, much less ended up with you." Tomas felt as though he had been pierced by 1,000 arrows. He stared at her in disbelief. "You only care about yourself." Jennifer shot back. "You live far too selfishly." Her words left Tomas frozen. "Hello? Is this 911? I need to report a crime." Kathy, who had already dialed the emergency number, spoke into the phone, her voice shaking. "My name is Kathy Tamilia, Tomas Nonet's youngest daughter. I'm reporting Tomas and Donna for involvement in multiple homicides. Please come to Reflections Villa immediately and take them in for questioning." Perhaps never expecting their own daughter to report them, Tomas and Donna froze. The light in their eyes dimmed, and they didn't say a word, as though they had accepted their fate. After a while, Philip's phone rang. "Philip, sorry to bother you," came the voice on the other end, "but we just received a call from your granddaughter making serious accusations. Is this some kind of misunderstanding?" Philip seemed to age several years in an instant, but his voice remained steady and authoritative. "My son and daughter-in-law are indeed implicated in multiple homicides. Please come over. The location is Reflections Villa." Truth be told, even if Kathy hadn't made that call, Philip would have. His son and daughter-in-law hadn't just made a small mistake. They had committed heinous acts in their quest for power and the family fortune, entangling and sacrificing countless innocents along the way. The voice on the phone faltered. Was this really happening? After a short while, a group of officers arrived at Reflections Villa. Tomas and Donna looked at their 3 children with a swirl of emotions. "Remember to listen to Grandma and Grandpa, and to your aunt and uncle." Donna's voice cracked as tears rolled down her cheeks. She couldn't help but look at the 3 kids before her with a mix of pride and sorrow. They had grown up so much, become so sensible, with a strong sense of right and wrong. Her mother-in-law was right. They were such good kids. Tomas' eyes were filled with shame and regret as he faced them. "Mom and Dad haven't set the best example, and we've let you down. We're so sorry." He bowed to the 3 children. At that gesture, Jeffrey's emotions broke through, tears streaming down his face. Luna's eyes turned red. Kathy had been trying hard to hold back, trying not to make a sound, but her trembling body betrayed her. She was just a teenager, even younger than Arabella. No one knew how much courage it had taken her to dial 911 and report her own parents. Tomas then turned to his brother and sister-in-law, his eyes filled with remorse for the first time. He bowed solemnly. "Sorry." George's shoulders trembled. He wanted to scold his brother for his foolishness, to tell him that he had never coveted the family business, and that he had only taken on the burden to ease his brother's load. But before he could speak, a burning sensation in his throat stopped him, and tears fell. He turned away, not wanting his brother to see him like this. How could Tomas not know his brother's thoughts at that moment? But it was too late to say anything now. Tomas looked at his parents, feeling ashamed of his actions for the first time. "Dad, Mom," he called out, then bowed deeply, apologizing, "Sorry." Philip and Shirley still carried themselves with the dignity of the family's elders, keeping their emotions in check. But Tomas knew they must be feeling a storm inside. Rising from his bow, he turned to Kenneth, Louisa, and Arabella, bowing earnestly. "Sorry." His decisions had torn their family apart. Donna also bowed to everyone and apologized. "I'm sorry." Her sincere attitude and humble stance once again brought tears to the others' eyes. Kathy watched as her parents were taken away by the police and finally allowed herself to cry out loud. Shirley, who had held back her tears for so long, now let them fall as she gently embraced Kathy, comforting her tenderly. "Sweetie, don't be afraid. You still have Grandma and Grandpa. We'll take good care of you." Luna, who had always been strong, leaned into her brother's embrace, her hands trembling silently. From today on, they were without parents. There would be no more family gatherings with Mom and Dad. Kenneth and Louisa felt a pang of sorrow. They could only watch helplessly. At that moment, Philip, the family's pillar, suddenly faltered. "Grandpa," Romeo called out, rushing forward to support him. Philip looked as if he had taken a heavy blow. After a moment, his voice steadied as he gazed at his eldest grandson. "Let's go home."
All right.
Romeo glanced back at Arabella, a silent gesture that he would take Grandpa home first. Arabella nodded in understanding. Bella, Kathy's eyes were red and brimming with tears as she clutched Arabella's hand, her voice trembling. My parents almost got you and your parents killed. I'm so sorry. They've already apologized, Arabella said gently, comforting the young girl with warmth in her voice. You didn't know anything about it, Kathy. It's not your fault. But that is the grudge of their generation, Arabella cut in softly. It has nothing to do with us. Our bond will not change. Her words made Kathy burst into tears again. I'll come visit you again in a few days. That would be lovely. Arabella's warm and kind smile made Kathy unable to resist hugging her and crying out, You're so good, sis. My parents hurt you, kept you away from your own family for years, yet you forgive them so easily. If only I had a time machine, I'd be the first to go back and stop them. But there were no time machines in real life, and her parents' mistakes couldn't be undone. You go on and take Grandma and Grandpa home, Arabella said, patting her back. Everything will get better. Kathy cried even harder. We'll come see you again soon, sis, Luna added, her own eyes red. Arabella wiped away Luna's tears, then turned to Jeffrey and handed him a tissue from the table. Next time, come with smiles. The three of them laughed through their tears, nodding and glancing back repeatedly as they left. Meanwhile, Serena was taken to the police station, where a mountain of evidence against her had been gathered. One night, while locked up, she dreamed that she had been wronged by Arabella. Just then, in the dream, she received a message from Martin. She casually replied with a sad emoji, which worried him greatly. He sent her several messages in a row, and when she didn't respond, he called her multiple times. Seeing she didn't answer, he finally sent her a bunch of smiley face balloons. As the balloons drifted into her sight, Serena's tears began to fall. But as the tears flowed, she realized it had all been just a dream. She remembered that long ago, Martin had indeed sent her smiley face balloons. But at that time, she hadn't cared about his feelings. Instead, she had captured the spectacular scene, planning to post it on Facebook someday. She wanted to wait until Martin's reputation and success had grown, until she felt it was worth boasting about, before sharing it with a post. But she never imagined she would never get that chance again. Her tears seemed endless. She tried to control her trembling body, but the silence of the night was occasionally broken by her soft sobs. Finally, someone in the cell was woken by the noise and threw something at her impatiently. Damn it, will you ever stop? Mourning or what? Startled, Serena clapped her hands over her mouth, letting the tears fall silently, not daring to make another sound. Days later, Arabella went to visit Beverly. Auntie, the outside world and the poems are just as you said, full of surprises, Arabella said with a gentle smile. Romeo and I thought it was important for both our families to experience it too. But as you know, even the most beautiful scenery eventually becomes part of the past. Beverly's eyes filled with tears as she listened. At last, it felt as though the final days of living in fear had truly ended. Thank you. Beverly's shoulders shook uncontrollably as she covered her face with her hands, tears streaming down her cheeks. She didn't know how to express the depth of her gratitude to her niece. Thank heavens, it was because of her niece that her two daughters could now live safely under the sun. And as a mother, she no longer had to live in constant fear. Regret flooded her as memories of all she had done to hurt her niece came rushing back. I'm so sorry. Beverly knew her niece's family no longer needed her flimsy apology, but at that moment, she felt genuine remorse for her niece, her brother, and her sister-in-law. But it was all too late. Some mistakes, once made, cannot be undone. Every time her niece visited and called her auntie, Beverly felt a pang of shame and discomfort. Arabella knew that although her uncle and aunt hadn't explicitly asked Tomas to commit arson and murder, they had done many things over the years to hurt her parents, causing accidents while her parents were on vacation, sabotaging their work, and more. Since they had done such things, they deserved to face the consequences. Take care of yourself in there, Auntie. I'll come to visit when I can. Beverly's eyes softened, touched by the kindness. Okay, she said. 2 years later. Frederica and Alma came to visit their mother. "Mom, I've graduated from college," Frederica announced. Her words instantly brought tears to Beverly's eyes. My girl has finally grown up and is about to step into the real world. Time had flown by so quickly. 2 years had passed in the blink of an eye. Frederica smiled. "I'm planning to come back and start my career here. I was sending out resumes everywhere when one day, Uncle Kenneth and Aunt Louisa came to see me. They divided all the companies you once owned equally between Alma and me. They even arranged for someone to teach us how to manage everything. Yesterday, I closed my very first business deal." Beverly was stunned by the news, her tears flowing freely once again. She had never imagined Kenneth and Louisa would be so generous to her children, dividing the family business and guiding them so patiently. Uncle Kenneth said that he and Aunt Louisa were only taking care of the companies and assets for the past 2 years. "Now that I've graduated and Alma has completed her studies early, the companies rightfully belong to us. They told us it's time to forge our own paths." Beverly wept harder, overwhelmed by their magnanimity and regretful of her own past pettiness and narrow-mindedness. "Yesterday, after I closed my first deal, Uncle Kenneth and Aunt Louisa were so happy. Aunt even opened the garage and told me to pick any car as a reward." Frederica's eyes sparkled. "You know what? That garage is full of the cars you once returned to them. They never claimed them as their own, never sold them, just kept them for us sisters." Fresh tears streamed down Beverly's face, a tangled mix of guilt, gratitude, and longing to turn back time. "I chose the least expensive car, but Aunt wouldn't have it. She insisted I pick the one I truly loved. In the end, I chose the Beacon, because in my memory, that was the year our family was happiest." Beverly broke down completely, her emotions surging like a relentless tide, overwhelming and fierce. Alma, who was standing nearby, also spoke up. "Uncle Kenneth and Aunt Louisa said that as long as the company performs well, they'll reward us with things from your past, one by one. But they also reassured us that it's okay even if we don't make it big right away. They understand that everything has a tough beginning. And if business just isn't our thing, they'll make sure we get those items as our dowry when we get married." Alma's words completely broke through Beverly's defenses. She had never imagined that Kenneth and Louisa would be so generous to her children. "Mom, Uncle and Aunt are really good to us, and so are Grandma and Grandpa. Their kindness isn't just for show, nor is it for outsiders, it's genuine. And Bella, she's been very good to us too." Alma's revelation prompted Beverly to quickly wipe away her tears and ask with concern, "How's she been doing lately?" "Bella has been quite amazing. QY is booming and has been winning the favor of many royals and nobles. Her order book is so full it's bursting at the seams. On top of that, she wrote a song that skyrocketed to the top of the charts, and her calligraphy and artwork have brought honor to our nation. Artists and calligraphers from all over have been flocking just to meet her, to talk to her, and to plead to be taken on as apprentices. The line at her door is so long, it might as well stretch to the Eiffel Tower." Hearing Alma speak like this, Beverly's eyes filled with tears. She hadn't expected that her niece had never stopped striving to be better. "Oh, and there's more," Alma continued. "She's been working on a medicine that helps Alzheimer's patients. Just one shot can help them recall events from the last 7 or 8 years. It prevents them from quickly degenerating into a state where they remember nothing at all and also eases symptoms such as aphasia and agnosia. However, this miracle medicine isn't on the market yet. Several international pharmaceutical giants have already offered huge sums for it, but Bella insists it was developed for our people, and she won't just cash in on national goodwill." Beverly couldn't help but be moved by her niece's broad-mindedness. Her heart was as vast as the heavens, her ambition boundless. Compared to her, Beverly felt small despite her age. A mere 21-year-old girl had outshone her. She suddenly realized her niece was already 21. Beverly reminisced about when she herself had returned to the Collins family at 18, celebrated with a grand party at 19, and just like that, 2 years had passed. Her niece had already reached 21. The last time she saw Bella, there had been an even greater air of elegance and spirit about her. One could sense her broad perspective even in casual conversation. "Oh, there's something else you should know. In a couple of days, it's Bella's birthday, and she's getting married to her fiancé on the same day. And guess what? Her 5 brothers are having a joint wedding ceremony too. Beverly was taken aback that her niece and nephews would all be celebrating their weddings on the same day. She was overjoyed for them. We'll both be there to offer our sincerest blessings, Alma added, turning to look at her mother through the bars that separated them. Although her mother was physically close, she felt worlds apart, as if they lived in completely different realms. We'll also send Dad's and your blessings, Alma promised. That's good. Beverly's eyes welled up again. Such a grand wedding will surely be covered by the media. I'll get to see it on TV. The visiting time was up, and Frederica and Alma reluctantly stood. Mom, take care of yourself in here, Alma urged. Eat well, sleep well, and don't worry too much about us. We have Grandma and Grandpa, Uncle and Aunt looking after us, and of course there's also Bella. She's been so good to us. That's good. Beverly reached up to wipe her tears. And you also need to be good to her. We will, definitely. We're off to see Dad now, to share all this good news with him. Their parents had been sentenced to life imprisonment, destined to spend the rest of their lives behind bars. Even though they had lost their freedom, the mere chance to see them occasionally was enough to fill the 2 sisters with contentment. On the other side, Donna never thought she would see her 3 children again in this lifetime. Clutching the cold metal bars, she tried to get a clearer look at her children's faces, but her vision was blurred by tears. For 2 whole years, they had not visited even once. It was clear they had been utterly disappointed in them. But something unknown had brought them here today. Donna couldn't stop the tears. Her body trembled, and though she wanted to call out to her children, her throat was so raw she couldn't utter a single word. If it weren't for Bella insisting, we wouldn't have bothered coming, Kathy said, her arms folded across her chest, still holding a grudge. Donna was momentarily taken aback before more tears cascaded down her cheeks. Kathy's a household name now, a real A-list celebrity, Jeffrey added. And Luna's art is famous far and wide. 2 years ago, Romeo transferred all of your companies and properties to my care, and I also received half the shares of Macmillan Corporation. Though he had initially refused, his brother had insisted that, as siblings, they should share the properties. Romeo wanted to devote more time to his wife and not be so busy that he couldn't even sit down for a meal with her. But I don't have his business acumen, Jeffrey admitted. I haven't managed the properties as well as he did. 2 years had passed since their parents' incarceration, and by default, everything had been transferred to Romeo, who had promptly passed it on to him. Despite 2 years of effort, Jeffrey had only managed to grow these businesses a little. Unlike his brother, who could take a company to an entirely new level, his progress was modest. The reason you made any progress at all is because Romeo and Bella helped you make connections, Kathy said bluntly. Don't be stingy when it comes to the wedding gift. Wedding gift. Donna's eyes widened. Romeo and Bella are getting married? In 2 days, Kathy replied. That wedding must be grand, Donna murmured, scrutinizing her son. After 2 years, Jeffrey had grown more composed, his demeanor more dashing and debonair. Seeing all 3 of her children standing before her, healthy, successful, and well, made her tears flow anew, blurring her vision once again. Let's go, Kathy urged. We still have one more person to visit, and we need to pick out a gift for Bella. Her tone was slightly impatient, but Donna could sense that her daughter actually missed them too. Send them my blessings, Donna said through the bars, weeping. I hope they grow old together, more and more in love with each passing day. Will do, Jeffrey replied, giving his mother a final look before he and his 2 sisters left together to visit their father. Throughout the morning, Arabella, as the successor of Luna Capital, delivered a speech to over 1,000 of the largest international investors and family representatives. In the afternoon, she boarded a plane back home, and at the top floor of a glass and steel skyscraper in Summerfield, a place where every inch of land is valuable, she announced the official establishment of Luna Capital's headquarters, spanning 300,000 square meters. Luna Capital was her legacy from her grandfather, Alberto. To manage it more closely, she had relocated the headquarters to Summerfield and attracted the core team with high salaries. After the ribbon-cutting ceremony, she convened a senior management meeting to review Luna Capital's financial status and business performance for the quarter. Our real estate investments have been strategic and profitable. We've taken over 6 poorly managed but well-located office buildings and invested in 4 high-quality properties with stable cash flow. In addition, we've acquired 60% of the shares in Jersey Industrial Park, 65% in Sweet Home, and an 80% stake in Melody Music. Our total profits for this quarter have increased by 15% compared to the last quarter, and are up by 45% compared to the same period last year. We are one of the largest and most trusted investment groups worldwide, second only to the Macmillan Corporation. As soon as the financial officer finished speaking, applause and praise filled the room, directed toward Arabella, who sat at the head of the table. When the clapping subsided, Arabella spoke. In the past 2 years, our group has diversified into various industries, including healthcare, education, technology, and energy. Next on our radar is an independent consumer review group seeking public funding, and the automotive brand Ike, which requires capital for their new plant in Summerfield. I plan to invest in them to officially enter the automotive and e-commerce markets. The room erupted in enthusiastic applause again. We have full faith in Ms. Collins's vision. It can't be wrong. Luna Capital has thrived under your leadership. If Mr. Rollins were looking down on us, he'd surely be proud. A shadow flickered across Arabella's eyes at the mention of Alberto Rollins, but she quickly regained her composure. Additionally, there's a video platform I'm very optimistic about. I have already sent someone to negotiate, and if all goes well, we'll acquire a majority stake. The crowd praised her once again until someone teased. Miss Collins, the day after tomorrow is your big day. You shouldn't be overworking yourself with Luna Capital matters. Yeah, you're spinning like a top every day. Don't forget your own wedding in all this hustle. If Mr. Macmillan can't walk down the aisle with his bride, none of us will get off easy. The room shared a laugh at the playful warning. Only then did Arabella truly register that her wedding to Romeo was the day after tomorrow. Lately, she had been so busy that she hadn't realized how quickly time had passed. Miss Collins, if there's nothing else, let's adjourn. You'd better start preparing, one executive suggested. Don't worry about the company, we've got it handled. Besides, you've got hundreds of top-notch investment experts here. You should go try on your wedding dress. Here's to hoping Miss Collins will be blessed with a couple of children within 3 years. To Miss Collins and Mr. Macmillan, may you have a lifetime of happiness and marital bliss. With a thankful smile for everyone's good wishes, Arabella declared the meeting adjourned. Miss Collins. At that moment, a woman director approached her with a warm smile. I'd like to wish you an early congratulations on your upcoming wedding. May your union with Mr. Macmillan age like fine wine, growing richer and more delightful as the years pass. Thank you, Arabella replied, glancing at Andrea in front of her. She remembered the early days of taking over Luna Capital, when her lack of availability had irritated Andrea quite a bit. After Tomas and Donna were taken into custody, Arabella had flown abroad for her first board meeting. Seeing Arabella's youth, Andrea assumed she was simply a nepotism hire and openly questioned her capabilities more than once, even slamming down a resignation letter and walking out. It was only after Arabella had proven herself and personally invited Andrea back that they began working together again. I used to think your grandpa Alberto was a genius in the investment world, never missing a shot. But it turns out, your vision is even sharper than his. Luna Capital is lucky to be in your hands. Her words had barely settled when an elderly director stepped forward, chuckling. I can't believe that in the blink of an eye, our Miss Collins is getting married. I wish you and Mr. Macmillan a harmonious and lifelong partnership. Thank you, Kim, Arabella said, her eyes softening. Kim, who had known about her running Albara investment, once feared she might merge Mr. Rollins's hard-built Luna Capital into Albara. He initially disapproved of her, even urging her to step aside for the greater good. Fortunately, Arabella's competence eventually won him over. Bella, congratulations. We've all been looking forward to this day. Heloise stepped forward, looking at Arabella with the fondness of an aunt for a beloved niece. If your grandpa Alberto knew about this from beyond, he would certainly be overjoyed. Arabella smiled. Thank you, Heloise. Previously, Heloise had worried that Arabella, as the founder of Albara Investment, might favor her own group's projects over Luna Capital's interests and disregard the livelihoods of its employees, thus opposing her leadership at first. Then there was Vito, an old shareholder, approaching as the crowd respectfully made way for him. Vito was a highly esteemed and formidable figure within the group, and he had been the greatest obstacle to Arabella's takeover. The opposition led by him had caused her no small amount of trouble. However, Arabella quickly proved her remarkable investment talent, particularly in real estate. She first acquired 11 office properties overseas for $300 million, renovated them, and later sold them for $350 million. Just one of her many successes in the commercial real estate market. Later, she formally partnered with Martin's Logistics Group, taking a stake in his company and helping him outmaneuver his family competitors, while making a substantial profit for them both. Following that, she turned her attention to the logistics sector under Light Group, acquiring a 70% stake and purchasing a renowned domestic port storage facility, adding 300,000 square meters of modern warehousing to her portfolio. By then, old shareholders like Vito were starting to take notice. Next, she launched scholarship programs at Summerfield College and Westerly College, raising millions, including $3 million from her own pocket. Since the program's inception, nearly 300 outstanding graduates from both schools had joined Luna Capital, making significant contributions. Finally, the old shareholders, including Vito, were thoroughly impressed, treating her with the utmost respect from that day forward. At that moment, the senior shareholder stepped forward. Your wedding is the day after tomorrow, and I'll be there on time with my family. I wish you and Romeo the harmony of a perfect duet and a lifetime of happiness. Thank you, Arabella replied, knowing full well that his heartfelt blessing was not easily earned. About the things that happened before. Before the old shareholder could finish, Arabella cut in with a laugh. I've long since forgotten about it. The old man burst out laughing. He hadn't expected this young woman to be not only magnanimous but also sharp-witted. In his heart, he thought Alberto had truly made the right choice. Then you'd better head home and get ready. You are not allowed to come to the corporation in the next 2 days, the old shareholder declared with authority. If you dare to show up, I'll personally block you at the door. Arabella knew he meant every word. Thanks, she said with a smile. Then I'll leave these 2 days in your hands. After leaving the corporate headquarters, she saw Romeo's car already waiting outside. No sooner had Arabella gotten into the car than he pulled her onto his lap, showering her with kisses. She wrapped her arms around his neck, laughing as she looked at him. Are you that eager? You just look so enticing right now, Romeo said, his eyes locked on her. You've changed a lot in the past 2 years. Have I? Yes. He found the sparkle in her eyes especially enchanting, her allure growing by the day. Leaning in, he captured her lips in another deep kiss. Just then, her phone rang. Romeo, craving her like a hungry wolf, refused to stop no matter what. Carl, sitting in the front seat, couldn't bear to look. He wondered what sins he had committed to endure such torment every day. By the time Arabella finally pushed Romeo away, the phone had already stopped ringing. Romeo tried to resume, but Arabella pressed one hand to his chest to keep him at bay while grabbing her phone with the other. It was Molly calling. Meanwhile, Molly was holding her judge's badge with a radiant smile. Bella must still be busy. Take a photo for me, I'll send it to her. Let's take one together, Hans suggested, pulling her close. Both of them were judges at this year's International Design Competition. Molly beamed at the camera while Hans' eyes held a tender light. After sending the photo, Hans slid his arm around her waist. Let's head home. Mr. Collins. Several fellow judges and staff approached, offering congratulations on the couple's upcoming wedding. Thank you, everyone, Molly replied with a warm smile. Make sure you come to our wedding. Hans' gaze never left her. She had become more outgoing, always smiling. In crowded places, he was protective, making sure no one bumped into her. One such protective gesture was captured and quickly spread online. Once in the car, Molly kept looking at the photo on her phone. She thought back to when she was just a nervous girl competing in a design contest. She had never imagined she would one day take over her family's business, sit as a judge alongside Hans, and soon marry him. Hans leaned over to buckle her seatbelt. "Sit tight, little one." "Oh, by the way," Molly teased, "on the judge's bench today, you kept whispering in my ear and offering me snacks. People will start focusing on us instead of the contestants." "I was afraid you were hungry," Hans replied with a soft smile. "You only had a few bites of your lunch and 3 sips of soup."
If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.